Communicating consciousness. That's what we're talking about today on the United Public Radio Network. On ATP Media, have we got a treat for you? We have the wonderful Preston Dennett and Dolly Safran back on the show to share more of their amazing experiences and to enlighten us about consciousness, which is such a important topic these days. So stay tuned, coming right back.
You got to accentuate the positive. Wow, I feel good. A little bit of feel good goes a long way.
You're listening to Karen Swain, teacher of deliberate creation, accentuating the positive, showing you a way to a better life.
Accentuating the positive, it's not just fad, it's sanity. Who in their right mind would accentuate anything else?
If you feel like that's what you want to do.
G'day, and welcome to another show. You're listening to ATP Media, Awakening and Expanding Consciousness with Karen Swain on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM. Syndicated radio hitting about 120 countries and streaming on 8 platforms. I'm muted. I didn't realise I hit that. I'm streaming over myself. Preston's muted too. Hey guys, welcome to the show. So great to have you back on ATP. Hello.
Happy Sunday.
Yeah, happy Sunday to you and happy Monday to people on the southern hemisphere. It's great to have you back on the show. I think that this is an important conversation. We've got your audience and my audience all saying hello. I want to say hello to Preston and Dolly's audience from the Lightgate. Hello, my family. Love Preston Dennett.
Oh, my sister-in-law.
Is she your sister-in-law?
I love you, Christy. Yeah, she married my brother.
Is this the artist? Is that the artist?
Yes.
Yep.
Aha.
Hi, Kisara.
Yeah, there's a great audience online. You guys have such a fabulous audience, and I know my audience is on too. Some of my favorites, Vladdy, here he is. Much love to all of you. Vladdy was sharing an amazing dream he had with us in my little group the other day about meeting some humanoid ET beings in a very vivid dream. It reminded me of your astral travels at night, actually, which I want to get into. But do you want to bring up that I've lost the star, that Preston, that star. I don't know. I can't seem to find where the starred one. There, that one. Yeah, Joe wrote this before we went live, and I just loved it. Peace and love from Joe in Portland, Oregon. Stay curious, love deeply. Oh, Joe, I just love that. Isn't that beautiful?
Yes.
Yeah, you can do those two things. I think you're going to be just fine.
Stay curious, love deeply. I think being curious is the meaning to life, really, when it comes to expanding consciousness. What do you guys think?
I agree 100%. The first rule of it, I was taught by ET and both my father, and this is it. Rule number 1, know all that is knowable and then proceed. Rule number 1. That's rule of life.
Know all that is knowable
and then
proceed. Yeah, but what about knowing stuff that's not knowable? Because, in this world that we're in, the stuff that we find out that we knew we wanted to know, but we didn't know it. But then when we found out about it, we knew it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I actually followed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're operating on 2 planes. Okay. You have your consciousness, who you are, and then your physical mind that doesn't know. What's in your cranium, your brain has no clue, and it has to be taught. And principally your consciousness and your desire to know all that is knowable teaches your cranium what's going on. That's how we drive the car we're in, and it's important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember when I was reading books when I was young, Mostly the Conversation with God books, which was teaching us about how we're creators of our reality and teaching us about consciousness. And I think the Conversation with God books, and this is something I want to talk about with you guys, was really kind of marrying our religious dogma, our religious ideas, because society over the past few thousand years has been gripped by the dogma of religion, and bringing it into a more spiritual understanding and talking about how we create. And I remember reading it, and before I read it, I didn't know that I knew this stuff, but when I read it, I knew that I knew it, but I didn't know it. But yeah, it's stuff like that, and I think that these books exist because as we move into a more multicultural, more cosmic society, we have to meet our star brothers and sisters with a similar consciousness, with a similar intelligence. And a lot of us are still sort of under the dogma of a lot of religion, a lot of fear. I'm sure you've seen it, you guys, with, when you're talking about UFOs, especially you, Dennett, when you Preston, when you're putting out all that UFO stuff, the comments about, if it's the devil's work, if it's alien, and have you kind of encountered that?
Oh, have I? Yeah. Which I get that. We all have our beliefs and our preconceptions about what this is all about. And for me, finding out UFOs were real basically collapsed my belief system because I was also having astral projection experiences at the same time. I kind of came to the understanding that beliefs aren't always that helpful and can actually be, lead to delusion even. So I kind of just started to separate what I actually knew and what I believed. And ultimately, you can believe whatever you want or disbelieve it. It has no effect upon the truth. So really important to separate the two. But I do remember reading Neil Donald Walsh's book, Conversations with God, and being really impressed. It was a reason I think that book was a huge bestseller.
Absolutely.
And to me, it opened up my eyes to how this guy, Neil Donald Walsh, really opened himself up to his own intuitive abilities and was able to get these messages directly from presumably source, but what else is there but source? Let's face it, we are in a universe that is composed of source. God. So I thought those books were a really good example of someone who really just ripped the barrier of belief right off and just went straight into let's explore, let's be curious. Really good books. Like the Celestine Prophecies, that was another one that was bestseller around that time. That was also really eye-opening.
Absolutely. I love the Celestine Prophecies as well. What I love about what you guys are doing, your work. So I haven't done an introduction because I just assume that everyone that's watching knows who you are. And maybe people who are listening on the network know who you are because obviously you've got the Stargate on Monday nights.
Lightgate.
It's like Lightgate. God.
Though I like Stargate, that works.
Stargate's not bad too. Lightgate on your Monday nights, which is our Tuesday mornings down under. And you've been on the network for what, 3-4 years? 3-4 years? How long have you been on the public radio?
2.
It's 140 some shows, so that's almost 3 years.
Yeah,
almost 3 years. Oh, okay. Yeah, because Dolly said to me, come on the network, and that was about 2.5 years ago. I thought you'd been on for a lot longer than me, but maybe you'd only been on for about 6 months.
No, I didn't want to be alone. That's why I told you, come on.
But listen, what I love, you're still babies. Preston was showing me things that I could do that I didn't know I could do on the streaming platform today. But what I love about your work is it's marrying consciousness or spirituality or religion and the UFO phenomena, because, as we discussed, a lot of religious people, especially in the States, not so much in Australia, maybe because we've got a smaller population, but there are so many people caught up with fundamental Christianity or fundamental religion that really locks them out from expanding their minds and their consciousness to this understanding. And I think our star brothers and sisters really want us to get with the program and raise our consciousness and intelligence so that we can walk amongst them as disclosure starts ramping up.
I've interviewed some people who were very, very deeply religious when they had their encounters. And frankly, people who were diehard atheists. And they both had equally difficult times with it.
Right.
Because it challenged that paradigm immensely. And both on either side kind of moved a little bit towards the center of what you might call spirituality, which, for lack of a better term, but away from fundamentalist thinking or diehard skepticism. I was a diehard skeptic. I was probably what you would call, not really an atheist, but leaning towards it. I mean, I always knew there was something more than just nothing. But it's so interesting to see. A good example was a gentleman from Utah, Don Anderson. Love this guy. He was a Mormon. And really, you know, that's a pretty strict religion.
Absolutely.
And certainly I think religion has its, you know, pluses and can be very helpful for people. But after he had Grays come into his house, he's 23 years old. He's got a little boy. He's a single parent. And, you know, basically started to make contact with his child. He's like, no, I'm coming with you. And had a huge, he says it was almost like a near-death experience, because all these memories of all his previous contacts suddenly came back. Dolly had the same exact experience at age 14. He was 22, which really is young in the contactee population. Often this is in, you know, midlife for a lot of people. But yeah, kind of blew his religion out of his mind, and he had to find, because there just wasn't room for it in the structured Mormonism religion, oddly.
Right. Yeah. Dolly, do you want to share your experience that Preston's talking about?
Well, I was okay. So everybody should know that I'm Jewish. Okay, both sides, and but my ethnicities are multiple. My family who came to me from both sides of my family, I have probably every single type of ethnicity on me. You know, it's out right there, you know, and I'm what I consider a Heinz 57 Mad Dog mix. And within those ethnicities, I have all this family life that's taught me every rich, wonderful thing about every one of those ethnicities. Excuse me, my mind is just talking to me right now. I can't make it shut up. And it is difficult when you're that mixed to see a difference in yourself. I always came at my thinking, or my genetics literally kept me part of the total whole. There's never been a separation for me in anything, whether it's ethnicity or religion or any of that. And when I was very young, my father said, you need to study all religions. You need to understand what everybody's saying. And you need to understand from a scientific point. And he wanted me to see all sides of it. And funny thing, ET was doing the same thing to me. They do not practice religion, and they do have God, but they call God the All-Mind, and there's a reason for that. And so I grew up outside all of it, but learning all of it at the same time from everybody. And the one thing that I came to when I came of age, because it got put to me by ET as well as my father at home, my dad actually got right up in my face. He said, have you made a decision? And I'm like, about what? And he said, and this is about the time I would have been bat mitzvahed, okay? And he said, what are you? Who are you? Where are you going? And I said, oh, I know what you're asking me. And I said, I am probably not a believer, but a follower of the precepts of Buddhism. I find that aligns with what I'm being taught on both sides of this thing, you know, because I've got the duality of being with them in here. Okay, I've lived two lives. And he said, what do you mean by that? And I said, that what ET has taught me from this big all forward, we're one, we're all one. They're us, we're them, and we're all one. And we are all together source. There's no difference from us. We are intelligent life coming from the core of all the universe and all known knowledge, all of it together. Just because you come out into the third dimension to live in a planet somewhere in this universe, and you genetically are coding to live on that planet so you can survive there and learn what it is you got to learn while you're there, is totally different from religion. It is totally different from any idea that you're walking around with right now. There's no separation of ideas. There's no separation of thought. There's no separation of identity. We are all one. And the fact that we don't act like that here is very disconcerting to me. Religion doesn't help us come together as one. Religion separates us. It causes us to war with one another. It helps us to not use quite clear thinking, or our sentience goes out the window. Our sovereignty as individuals is out the window. We have no sovereignty over ourselves, which you're supposed to have. That's what autonomy means.
Yeah.
And, consciousness is consciousness. We're all conscious. We all, trust me, we're all the same thing. We're all from the center of all of this. We have no attributes on us in together in source that would keep us separated from one another. We know each other. We do know all of us. And I thought,
yeah,
you're
going. You thought for a long time. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, that consciousness is the most important thing that we can develop while we're here. It's one of the number one attributes we should attain for, knowing that who we are, what we are made out of. Because your body it's not who you are. It's a vehicle that you're walking around in while you're here. But once you leave this body, you're going back to source and anywhere else you want to go. So what gives? Do you know yourself? Do you know what you're thinking, your consciousness? Your physical brain only knows itself. It's walking around trapped in the globe of your skull, and it can't think past it. And it's without the driver, it's helpless. And we're walking around with helpless brains because we're not connecting to consciousness like we should.
Yeah,
that's the basis of all ideas and thought. And at the center of it is our willingness or unwillingness to hear the truth. And a delusion is a good way to keep you from hearing that. Preston's dead on, deluded on this planet like you wouldn't believe. We don't know.
And Preston, I just want to say to you, if you spot comments that you want to bring up, bring them up. You know, I'm happy for you to bring up the comments. This one, I feel a lot of love and positive momentum today. Yay, sending that to you guys. Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Speaking of consciousness, I was a late bloomer. You know, I remember coming into this world about age 5 or 6 or 7. And even then, I had a big family, 5 brothers and sisters, and it was difficult for me to separate myself from them. And I didn't even really get a sense of individuality until I was much older. Yeah. And I would really feel and experience everything that my brothers and sisters were experiencing. And it was kind of a shock to me to realize I was actually an individual. It's interesting because Dolly has memories going back to when she's just months old. I don't have that. I worked towards it later on in life and started remembering even before that past lives. So consciousness is a really powerful tool.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when you go out of body, that's a whole new exercise in consciousness where you have to really learn to maintain it.
And I want to get into that. And I've got a question for you about that, because I understand that I'm part of the hybrid program to actually hold that level of consciousness or that level of intelligent consciousness. You know, we have to expand our DNA. The DNA has to be tweaked. And I know that you guys have that too. But Chris Bledsoe, have you had Chris Bledsoe on your show? Have you been in contact with, seen him in?
I sent him, he's in my friends list, and I send him messages and stuff, you know, when we're going to be on and stuff like that. We haven't had direct communication with him, but I've noticed he's a busy guy.
He's busy. I've asked him to come on the show a dozen times, and I've never heard back from him. But I love what he's doing because he's marrying the UFO phenomena with the spiritual religious phenomena, which I think is what you, well, no, I don't think it. I know this is what you guys are doing too. And as we move forward in our evolutionary status here on Earth, this is what we have to do. Like on Earth, we separate science from religion, or politics from religion. Like we've got the whole thing separated. And just like you said, Dolly, the ETs don't see it like that. They see what we call religious or spiritual or miracles as physics, as science, you know, as intelligence. They don't have this holier than thou sort of put it in this box over there and then there's normal life. It's all just one conversation. What what we see as miracles, they see as understanding of how to manipulate molecules, how to manifest reality. And I think that, you know, what Chris is doing and what you guys are doing is bringing that conversation together instead of having it in those separate boxes. Like there's the UFO phenomena, and then there's religion, and then there's spirituality over there. I mean, I think I heard Chris say on a show that consciousness is another name for God. I don't know, but what do you think about that statement? Do you think consciousness is another name?
That's why they call ET calls God the All Mind, because it is all mind, and we're in it. We're part of it, and we can hear the All Mind as well as the All Mind hears us. It knows everything. It created us, and it gave us autonomy. That was our gift, and it was natural for it to do, because everything's got to birth something. Okay, you can't be a conscious entity or an intelligence and not want to create. Okay, on every level, and I think we are the Creator's creation, and the All Mind brought us in to be with itself. Okay, we're part of it, and we've been given an opportunity to elevate ourselves to know as much as we can, so that we can reach its level to communicate directly. And then maybe from there, I don't know what's going to happen from there. I wouldn't even want to guess. I have my ideas, but I'm not telling anybody. I have to get to where I'm at before we can have this conversation. It is an incredible idea to understand that. And you have to think of your own parents. If you have a parent that was very wise and you trusted this person with all of your everything, that you knew this person was dead up honest with you and would never lie to you and always give you a thumbs up, you know, you're doing good, keep going, keep trying, encouragement your whole life. If you could communicate with that parent on that parent's level. And I strived for that with my own father. My father was a genius, and my father knew things that were deep and profound. And he taught me as much as he could, but I wasn't ready to know everything he knew yet. And as I got older and he got older, we started sharing more and more, but I had to bring myself up to that. I had to understand what he was saying, and it was a lifetime of learning through him. That's what we should be doing on a massive level with the All Mind, you know, that which created us. Instead of telling it to take care of us and do everything for us, we should be honoring our autonomy and our regency of ourselves and working towards reaching that conversation with that.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions here in the stars. I've been using the star, Preston. Thanks for showing me that, about death, which is so interesting. And then Mish said here, curious to know what Dolly and Preston think about Michelle DeMarquet's book, The Thiber Prophecy. Have you heard about The Thiber Prophecy? Have you met Samuel Chong?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, I've read the book. It's a bit different from the research I've done. So, you know, I'm a bit on the fence about it, to be honestly. It's certainly an interesting book.
Yeah.
And I would recommend people read it. But I have to say, I don't know. So, yeah, I'm a bit on the fence about it, because some of the stuff in there really just doesn't match the research I've personally done. I don't think Dolly has read the book, but
I don't even know who you're talking about.
It was a book that was written by a French Australian guy. He was originally from France, settled, moved to Australia, and had a nursery up near Cairns in Queensland. And in the 80s, he was taken by 9-foot hermaphroditic ETs to a 9th category planet, and he was shown around their planet, and he was told a lot of things about the origins of Earth, actually. And how, just like you said, Dolly, how, like the parents, how they're overseers of the evolution of this planet. He was told about how different species of humans got to the planet, how they came from other planets. He said that the yellow people and the black people were the first people here, like the blacks and the Asians, and then later the whites came. And it's an intense book. It goes into a lot of information. A lot of information.
I probably haven't been steered toward that book for a reason then. I'm going to make a point. We are not different species. We are all human. Every last one of us through the universe. If you're sentient, walking and talking, and you have the 5 points of sentience, physicality. You're human. We're Homo sapiens sapien here. ETs are Homo sapiens something else. But we're all connected, though. We all have the same DNA. There's no difference in any of us. We're not a different species. We're exactly the same thing. And that's what I keep trying to get people here to understand. I want you to hear me, because if you're thinking species, yes, there is a human species, but there are not different human species. That does not exist in reality. Okay, the science of species is we're humans, there's canines, felines, fish, primate, birds, all of that. And those are different.
I probably used the wrong word, species. I meant different cultures, different,
I know,
like
every day.
White, black, Chinese, what do you call that? Not species.
But we're not that. We have different
ancestries.
We have different skin colors. So does ET. We have different ethnicities. And the only reason we have different coloration on us is because some of us need to be, as we're in hotter environments and there's more sun, we need more melanin. Okay. If you have yellower skin, which I do, I'm part Asian, seriously part Asian. It is, I'm also Turkish, you name it, I got it. Okay. It's because we live in a climate where we developed that ethnicity, those colors and those genetic turn-ups in our DNA to protect us in the environments that we're in. Our bodies will protectively mutate to carry us through whatever we're living in. So we're not different. We're human. As a nurse, I can tell you that for a fact. I don't care what color you are. I don't care where you're from. Underneath your skin, we are identical to one another. There is no difference. None. Zero.
Yeah. And I think as we grow in consciousness, we start to realize how truly we are all connected to all living things, and frankly, to the entire universe itself. Absolutely. But I do want to make a point about consciousness. I think we need to be careful to sort of define it. Consciousness is not thought. Thought is something that we can do with our consciousness. Consciousness, I think, would be better defined as awareness, the ability to reflect.
Yeah,
exactly. Because thought it has its uses, but it also has its trappings. You can figure out wonderful things mentally, but ultimately it's all about observation and awareness. And
I will give you a definition of consciousness. Consciousness is light energy that exists in real time, everywhere, all at once, all the way. It is
that's beautiful.
It is an electrical light that is has attained, like in your brain. Your synapses are pretty smart. They all know what they're thinking. In your brain, it's a physical, chemical bonds that create the electricity in your brain, and that's how we use energy in the third dimension, so our consciousness can work properly. Outside of this body, we're pure light, and we can gather electricity from any point in the universe around us that feeds our consciousness. We're pure light. That's what consciousness is. It's light that is aware, as Preston said.
Intelligent light. When I was chatting to the angels one day, I was asking them more about who they are, and they said, we are intelligent light. And I'm like, wow. And I guess we're all intelligent light, really.
Absolutely.
They're intelligent light that are not currently incarnate into some form or some physical form or some dimensional form. They're intelligent light that sort of stays closer to source, closer to the light or the air, the dimension or the frequency that is source. It's hard to find words.
Honey, you're deep in it. You don't realize it because you're cut off from it. Your senses don't allow you to see the totality of it. But all living, every organisms on this planet and throughout the universe are light. It's conscious, sentient, aware light. And even grass is aware. All right. Vegetables are aware. Everything is aware. It has biological life and it's here. It has a life cycle, and then it dominates. It deems. I'm trying to use the word. Deems out. Dimes out. Thank you. And then it regenerates somewhere else. Okay. And comes into that area where it's going to do its next living process. The universe is set up for that. The universe works this way. It's the engine of all life in everywhere. And
well, that's exactly what Vladi is talking about right here when he asks, what do you think about electricity being the thing that connects all beings and all dimensions?
Yep.
It's funny because I was just looking into a contact case from Guadalajara, Mexico, which I featured on my most recent episode on my YouTube channel. Dr. Diaz was in his doctor's office when this guy walks in, and he looks a little different. He's very short. He's got very pale skin, very, very smooth skin, and basically says, "I'd like you to give me a physical exam, and I will prove to you that I am not from here."
Wow.
Which apparently he did enough to convince Dr. Diaz that he was not from here. He said he was actually 80 years old, and that there's several of his kind, like 10,000, he said, living among us and trying to teach these various concepts. And he talked about, the dangers of nuclear proliferation and how we are very slow in growing our spiritual awareness. But mentioned specifically that electricity is something we really need to do a much deeper dive on. That this is how they are able to travel vast interstellar distances, which really rang a bell for me because Dolly talks about this as well, how the ET craft use very, very high amounts of electricity to open up a light gate to cross interstellar distances. But that electricity is really the key to all things. And it's interesting to me because when you do astral projection and you get to the other side, which you might call the heavenly realms, everything is light. The grass glows with lights, the flowers, the trees. There are no shadows. It is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. So yeah, light being the fundamental force of the universe makes sense to me. And what the things ETs can do with light is so amazing. From levitating to healing, to pulling people through solid objects, what appears to be solid, but is actually just light.
Right. It's all just energy and information swirling around in a quantum soup. Yeah. Which is going back to the Dive of Prophecy. This is really what I gleaned from the books. What I got from the books is that these humanoid ETs had the ability to do the miracles they talk about in the Bible. And you've just said it. They could levitate, they could manipulate light, they could manifest, like disappear and reappear, like they knew how to frequency, they knew how to become visible in the physical spectrum and then invisible in the physical spectrum. And they did have some technology which they used, like cars that would put an energy bubble around them. So technology outside of their body and consciousness that they would use to sort of travel, like fly, like Superman. And and so they have what we call religion and miracles and spirituality. They just call physics and science.
Well, that's what levitation is, human levitation, which we can do. Dolly has experienced it. I have a good family friend, Mary Frank. She experienced it as a child. A number of contactees have experienced it. I'm still not exactly sure what the mechanism is, even though I've written a whole book called Human Levitation.
Right.
But to hear Dolly describe it, actually having that experience, I suspect it does have something to do with light.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, it does.
Yeah. Yes. Well, flying dreams. I think flying dreams are pretty common for most humans. Most people I've spoken to remember some sort of flying dream. So would you say that is memory of us astral out of our physical bodies at night, where we can astral travel and we appear to be flying?
Yes,
yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you're having flying dreams, you are this close to having fully conscious astral projection. Because remember, we are all doing it every night.
Right.
And going back to the idea of consciousness, this really surprised me. We're fully conscious on the other side. Even if you're not aware of that you're having astral experiences, you are, and you're directing it and you're having a good old time, but you come down and you forget it like a dream. It's still there. It's not erased.
This is something that I take away from my conversations with you, Preston, about your out-of-body experiences at night. And I've said this to you on other shows, and I'm going to repeat it, is that when you meet your relatives, both dead and alive, from our understanding, dead being that they have finished their incarnation on Earth, and then some that have not finished their incarnation. And you having a conversation with your brother and your sister, I think, saying, do you know you're not in your body? And they look at you like, what do you think, we're stupid? Of course we do. Like, fully conscious of who they are, where they are. but more conscious than we are when we're in our physical form, like more conscious of
I would
who
like
we
to
are
finish that sentence.
as that connection to source energy, or connection to light, or connection to spirit or energy, like more conscious of who we are as consciousness than when they're in their physical understanding. Yeah, go on, Dolly.
I want to finish what that thought is. What the thought is this. They were trying to tell Preston that my physical brain is not, is listening only as if in a dream. And that when the dream, they wake up, it become fully lucid. They're only partially lucid. They let go of it like a dream because they don't realize it was fully real to them.
Yeah.
And they let go of it. Your brain will only assign importance to things it thinks are important. And our physical minds tend not to use dreams as something that's that important to remember. So it lets go of it. Your physical brain is a big bad actor in this, okay?
Yeah.
It is only capable of so many things. And if you're polluting it, you know, if you're not exercising like you should, if you're not exercising it at all, it's not going to have the capacity to fully understand everything your consciousness is doing. And it's connected at night. And if you remember your dreams like that, you're only listening for a little while and then you turn it off and then you wake up. Okay. And so, oh, I had a lovely dream. And you don't realize that, no, you were in contact with your loved ones. You were OBE. You were running around having a good time. And people don't think that they should settle into that and remember it as if it really happened, and then go from there. Every time it happens to you, write it down, remember it more and more and more until you're 100% lucidly dreaming or lucidly OBEing at night, and you can have that conversation for real and then remember for real.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the tricks to astral projection. You always have to keep track of it's maintaining consciousness.
Right.
Where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing?
Right.
At all times, you need to keep that running in your mind and use the ability of thought and awareness and perception to sort of ground yourself in reality. Because when we go out of body, we lose track of that. So that's one of the techniques that you can use, especially right when you wake up. You're like, okay, I know I was just somewhere. Just lie there for a second and ask yourself, who was I just with? Where was I? What was I doing? It can all come rushing back to you. It's a good technique.
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, because I have really vivid memories of lucid dreaming, or just what you were saying, Dolly, coming back into my physical brain perspective and having memory of what I was doing in another dimension, out of body. When I was younger, more than I do now, and I still try to practice remembering. And I know that, Preston, you've said meditate, 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 meditate. I used to meditate a lot more when I was younger because I kind of had a reason. I wanted to expand my psychic abilities and consciousness. And so I meditated more then than I do now. So maybe I've got to get back to meditation practice.
Yeah, if you don't use it, you lose the connection. Yeah.
Do use it. But, you know, I have clear access to guides and angels and dead people, you know, in my physical waking body. But it's that memory of where I've been when I wake up in the morning. Even this morning, I woke up and then felt myself falling back to sleep. And there's this energy, a vibration, frequency. It's absolutely beautiful. It's like warm comfort, where just before you lose consciousness, like just like you're falling asleep, and then bang, it's like the lights go out, and then the next thing you know, you've woken up, and there's that memory lag. So I'm saying to myself, I'm feeling this frequency. I'm going to remember. I'm going to remember. I'm going to remember.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
So what we can aim for in life is to become conscious and lucid during the day, so we can OBE while we're dead up awake. I want to explain something to you. The chemical process that makes you fall asleep is sort of like anesthesia. It's a chemical that your body administers to you because it's time for you to take a nap. It's physically tired and it starts dropping those chemicals on you, one of them being melatonin. Your pineal gland, which is the important gland that has to work for you to go OBE anyway or be psychic, is that gland. It's an endocrine. And it's part of your endocrine system, and it sees light and dark. It knows what time of day it is. It knows when to sock you up with those chemicals to make you go down. It's a protective measure to protect this body from being overstimulated, because your physical brain can only take so much, where your actual consciousness can handle anything. So there's a state of being that you can get into during the day when you meditate, because you allow your consciousness to become the absolute driver of you and be in consciousness. That's something that people don't talk about enough. You can actually attain full awareness, consciousness during the day. You practice it, and meditating is the first step. There's a second and a third, and you have to be able to get to the second and the third through the first. Going within to go without doesn't mean go to sleep. It means to go within who you are. One of the things that I do every day when I wake up from my sleep, my physical sleep, is I go in and I open my third eye and I remain open all day long. I'm fully consciously aware of who I really am. My awareness is speaking to you as I speak to you now. I hear myself think, not from the brain, from consciousness. And if you practice that, it becomes an everyday affair. It's like breathing. You attain what Buddha was trying to say, nirvana. That's the state of nirvana, for your physical body to be in that light, to understand.
Yeah, you meditate while you're awake. Hold that state, because we have these different levels of theta, alpha, gamma, delta. So if
Alpha, beta, theta, gamma, delta. Yeah,
it goes beta, alpha, theta, gamma. Yeah, I studied this when I studied energy healing.
Yeah, if you can pull yourself, you should be able to, because if you measure the brain waves of certain people who are, quote, enlightened, they are able to absolutely pull themselves into these, what you would think was asleep, but they're fully awake.
Yeah, theta, gamma.
Absolutely have an out-of-body experience while they're walking around and essentially bilocate and do all these kinds of abilities that we call superhuman, but are not. They're natural.
Right. Yeah, it's just physics, right? It's just physics. It's just science. Yeah.
Dolly was talking about that. Waking meditation, you want to meditate at all times until you reach that point of full awareness, and you're paying as much attention to the inside world as to the outside, because they connect. They're the same thing in a way.
Yeah. And this also gives us the ability to perceive frequency, subtle frequency, through the cones and rods in our eyes, through our physical apparatus, that others don't. Because, there are many people, and I know that you've talked about this a lot, both of you, who will look up at a craft in a crowd and 3 people can see it and the rest can't see it, or encounter an ET that is completely visible to some and not visible to others.
It's like mediums who can see ghosts and others can't.
Right? You're not looking with your physical eyes, you're looking with your third eye. And
it appears to be physical because you're seeing it standing in front of you. But I guess everything we see, the mind is seeing anyway. Like, we think it's our eyes seeing it, but the mind is actually interpreting light.
The car you're in, and it's interpreting what you're doing with it. You're the programmer, it's the computer. Okay. And you have to give it a base program for it to operate properly, and then you take complete control of it and move through everything with it. You become the operator, the total operator. And so when I look at you, I see everything there is to see, all energy around you all at the same time. I hear your frequency, your mind. You have a very unique frequency. I see your physicality. I can hear what you're thinking. I feel what you feel. It's a thick soup to be in everybody all at the same time. That way, once you get comfortable walking through it, you're okay. A lot of people, they say, "Oh no, it's too much. It sucks the life out of me." No, you lit it. That's not how this is, because you can become energized by it as well. When you hit negative energy, all you have to do is walk away from that. And most negative energy, once you reach full consciousness, won't come near you with a 10-foot pole. It'll see you come and go, no.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And when you hit negative energy, if you're not judging it as negative or bad, then it doesn't really affect you in a negative way. It's only our judgment that creates our experience. Like, if you see something horrible and you go into, oh, that's terrible. If you resist, But, in the Thyva prophecy as well, when Michelle was taken up into the ship, it's so interesting how they to get him on the ship, they had to what's the word I'm looking for? Like, take all the bacteria and stuff off him, like wash him.
Decontaminate.
Thank you. Decontaminate him. Massive decontamination process. But they did something to him so that when he was on their planet, he had the ability to see auras. I suspect that that's what you're talking about, Dolly. He could see people's energy field. He could see the colors in their auras. But when he came back to Earth after his experience, that turned off. And Samuel, who
everybody else, yeah, it's like, you know, your children, your baby, when your baby's born, you hold your baby. Your baby takes 6 months to realize it's not still part of you. Okay, it doesn't see itself as singular. It's still part of mama. And if you try to take a baby away from mama, they freak out. It's like, no, okay, very bad juju there. We shouldn't take baby away from mama. Mama's the most important thing in its life. You carry it for 9 months and you got 6 more months to go until it realizes I'm a separate person from you. And it's like that with all consciousness. When you're with others that are in that soup together and you're in consensus with one another, communion, as Whitley Strieber describes it, everybody's giving everybody energy at the same time and they hold you up. They've got the volume turned so loudly you can't help but hear it. Okay. When you walk away from that, when you walk outside of that, you go back to being you. And without that energy that you're getting while you're with them, the volume of it, you go, wait a minute, what happened? I don't hear it anymore. And that's because it's still up to you to turn it up for yourself. They can only work with you so long as you learn to do it for yourself.
I love this point that you're making. I want to comment on this because I see this when people tell me about their onboard experiences. Because they're fully telepathic, they're communicating with other people, their own family on board, and they're talking telepathically in a way that they've never been able to do back on Earth. There are accounts of people being able to do telekinesis and levitate, and they're thinking, oh, the ETs are doing. No, it's you who's doing this. And then they come back, and this is when they might experience levitation or telekinesis. I've got a number of cases of this personally and certainly in the UFO literature, where people will reach for something, comes right to their hand, right after a contact experience.
Yeah, because
that is you doing it because
holding energy from it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so amazing. Cool because we should be able to do all of this. And yeah, it bleeds out, kind of settles down pretty quickly after contact experience. But if you can maintain it, you're there.
But it takes a certain level of intelligent consciousness to be able to maintain it. Like, so getting back to Michelle, so when he came back, he didn't have the abilities that he had on the ships and on the other planet. He couldn't see the auras and be telepathic and all that stuff that you were talking about, Preston. But just like you were saying, so Samuel, who is continuing, because Michelle's since left his body, he's continuing the promotion of the book. He wanted to meet someone on Earth that could do that. Like, I want to meet someone that knows how to see auras. And he found this woman in Australia called Judith Collins, who lives like an hour and a bit down the road from me in the country, and came out to meet her. And he introduced me to Judith, and she's amazing. I've had her on the show many times doing aura readings. She is absolutely amazing. She lives in the country, so she's not so bombarded with everyone's auras. But she, as a child, said, I just wanted to turn it off. So in order to have those abilities like the ETs have, we have to learn how to cope with it because we have to learn how to cope with it, and it's overwhelming for many. And I mean, obviously she has the ability now to turn it off and on. She says to me, she will never read my aura because we're friends now, and she never reads friends. She said she only, I'm like, oh, okay. But so to have that ability to turn it off, because it can be completely overwhelming, especially with so many. I was listening to someone talk about, just walk down the street, you hear people's thoughts. Everyone's bitching and complaining. Like, there's so much negativity in our thinking on this planet.
Yeah, I would get that coming back from an OBE. It would be very overwhelming. You go to work and people would start talking to me and their words would come out jumbled because they're thinking something else. And that's what I'm picking up. And no, it wasn't always pleasant because, people don't always have the nicest thoughts.
Yeah, that's right.
I can see why that would be very difficult. I mean,
just walking down the street listening, which is what I do, listening physically to people's conversation, they're usually bitching about another person. It's a common, she said, he said, what about what he said this to me, she said, did you hear this, did you hear that? Like, that seems to be a really dominant conversation here on Earth. So wow. I want to get to this question. We're way back on the Bledsoe conversation, but Greg here said ages ago, Greg, I had you start there. what does Dolly and Preston think about Chris Bledsoe's prediction about Easter 2026, which is like a week away? Everything he's been saying for the last 12 years coming true with this war, etc. Do you know what the lady that he sees this lady, which he equates to the feminine principle or creative principle, the Holy Spirit or the Hathor energy or the Isis energy or the Mother Mary energy. She made all these predictions about ET or orbs making themselves known when the bombs start flying between Israel and Iran. What do you guys think about that?
I met Chris Bledsoe, a lovely man. He was healed of Crohn's disease, I believe it was, during an ET contact experience. I do know he's also a religious guy.
He is.
And I think that perhaps some of his experiences are perceived through the lens of religion, which is understandable because we all do that. Whether you think you do or not, you are perceiving reality through the lens of your own belief system. Which, is perfectly fine. I am not a religious person, so it's hard for me to sort of relate to some of what he's saying in terms of Jesus coming back and this sort of thing. But I'm very interested to see what comes of these predictions. I'm wary of predictions.
Yeah.
I really am, because there's a lot of them and often they don't come true.
Absolutely.
And it could be more of a symbolic thing. People perceive an awakening, and it could be just sort of an awakening that's of spiritual awareness, perhaps, rather than an actual, second coming or something along those lines. But I always like to put them kind of on the back burner and watch it very closely, because it's exciting, and we'll see. I mean, it's a week away, but I don't know.
Well, the prediction was that ET would make themselves more known because they would intervene in the war, and we would see that intervention. Dolly doesn't agree at all.
No, no better. They are not here. They're not coming back here for a long time. And this is, okay, I'm just going to say it. I have to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and beat around the bush. A lot of people aren't going to like what I'm going to say.
That's not Dolly's style.
No, Dolly, I don't know you like that. Let me get back to it. Go.
You have to be aware that there's more going on behind the scenes than you are aware of. And a lot of people who seem genuine and honest in telling you things that you should be listening to are actually sheep in wolf clothing. Okay. And that's a metaphor, a religious metaphor, but I'll use it because I want you to understand that the military industrial complex global has gone to extreme lengths to create this narrative that they are operating like a movie. Okay. And they are ready to start dumping on us. And it is called the false flag. And they're going to show you that ET is either going to be your rescuer or your condemner. And I need you to understand that if you're predicting that ET is coming to rescue you, I want you to understand that it's the farthest thing from the truth in reality. I've said it a million times, and if you watch everything that I've ever said, you will know point blank that we are the responsible for our own woes upon this world. We have created every stupid, stinking, thinking thing that's going on here. We had no help from anybody but ourselves. And it's only going to be us that get ourselves out of it, or we pay the total price for that. And that is we're heading into a situation where nature's going to take care of it, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
That's why awareness and reality need to get checked. And if you make a prediction to me, I'm going to look at you funny because you are not telling me something that you should be telling me, or anybody else for that matter, because your issues are more important. Healing yourself and what you understand about reality are more important than worrying the world to panic people, make people think things that are not true. It's a type of control that you should not be exercising, period. I've never made a prediction and I never would. ET doesn't predict. And it's because we are all in control of ourselves. We are autonomous beings and we're responsible for ourselves. And they, like parents, warn us that we're idiots and we should think about this, but they're not going to raise their hand to fix us. We have to do it for ourselves. So
I have to say, I have to say, having showcased, New World teachers for the past 20 odd years, I have heard a lot of stories of people who are now in their 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, who even as children had angels or ETs or spirit turn up and show them probable realities of Earth and talk about, you humans need to get your act together because this is what could happen. And I call them probable realities because there are different timelines. And even on board, maybe, Preston, you've heard this too with your research, people going on board ship and them showing like probable realities of a future time.
I would call them possible
possibility.
I'm not sure that I would call them separate timelines or anything like that. But they are absolutely very concerned about how we are treating ourselves, each other,
and the planet,
and this planet. And we'll show it in very vivid detail because it's not hard to see some of these outcomes that we're heading towards. And they are very good at that. And we can do that too. Dolly and I did a whole show with Caroline Ayadarola about precognition. And Dolly and I had a big discussion. She's like, well, precognition is really not the word you want to be using. Cognition would be a much better word. Awareness. Because, you can kind of get a glimpse of the future. It's not the future as you think of it.
Things. Your consciousness has no boundaries on it. It's interdimensional. It sees everything all the time, all at once. It is not locked in the third dimension. It's living with you right now in this physical world, but it is mostly supersedes all of that. And if you're warning yourself about something or worried about other people and it's worried about it with you, it will tell you things. Because you're not listening 100% of all the time. You don't have full awareness. You think it's precog. No, it's not. Your consciousness is going, hey, you need to understand that this is going to happen if you don't pay attention to it. That's what it's doing. And we have control over what that is.
Well, that you should pay attention to it because it is going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll give you
I have to say, I never do prediction stuff. There was a lady, a beautiful psychic lady, talking about the Earth rift, which other people have spoken about, like a big sort of earthquake that will affect a large portion of the world. And she predicted, she gave a date, and it was like the 18th of February this year. I told my little tribe because, around Southern California somewhere. And one of my friends stopped travel on that day, but it didn't happen. And then the psychic got on YouTube and said, just justified her connection to spirit, but it didn't happen on the date that was predicted. But one prediction I do have, and that is that, in the future, there will be a lot less people on the planet for whatever reason that is. But there's so many ways that people can leave the planet. They can leave through pandemics, allopathic medicine. They can leave through wars. They can leave through earth disasters. But probably in the next, 50 years, there will be a lot of people leaving that way en masse.
Yeah. I would call that an awareness. Might be the best term for it. An understanding.
Right. You don't have to.
You're perceiving that.
We don't. There's time here. We are at the end of a cycle. And
at the end of a cycle.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the point. I'm not predicting this. I'm telling you a point. In fact, we're at the end of a cycle. It is coming rapidly. It's already upon us. It's happening in real time in front of you. And if you can understand it and see it for what it really is, you need to react to it, because how you react to knowledge is more important than anything else in the world. That's why they don't want you to know the truth, because they've known for 80 years and have deliberately kept it from everybody, because there's a lot of people on this planet. We can cause havoc. We're perfectly capable of messing up their plans. And so they're holding it tight to their chest to the bitter, bitter end. And they have a bitter, bitter end. They're committing genocide as we speak. These little diseases that are cropping up, these, genocidal idioms that are going on in Africa. Africa is just now starting to have problems. They've been having them. I've watched it in real time for the last 50 years.
Yeah, God, 100 years,
Okay.
Yeah.
Almost completely wiped everybody out, and everybody that's left is acting like idiots. Okay. This is not good, and it's headed for everybody else now. And you have to be able to see that people are losing their minds, and it's because it's been controlled to happen. And it's another reason for getting conscious.
So I want to get back to some questions that came up that I starred. Thank you, Preston, at the beginning. because when we started talking about consciousness, so Carly says, still can't wrap my head around death. Yeah, there were quite a few questions around.
It's a strange system, isn't it? Death. We're going to be here
death.
for a while.
I'm certain we'll experience something after death. So yeah, as humans, we think that this experience, this human experience, is the only experience, and yet ET understands. They are multidimensional, and they understand death. Like my guide said to me when I said to them years ago, "How do I help? You know, what do I address?" And they said, "Well, the thing that causes the most suffering on your planet is your understanding of death. When you understand death better, you won't suffer so much."
It's a misunderstanding. The word death is absolutely
a bad word.
used.
I don't like it. It's called transitioning. You transition from this body and your energy goes somewhere else. You're transitioning. Okay. And you don't die. That's the point. We don't die. There is no death. It doesn't exist. Religion created death to control you. So quit it. No, it's transitioning. And when you're ready to lose this body and walk out of it, that's what you do. You walk out of it. And if you could remember what you're doing at night while you're sleeping, because your consciousness isn't going to lay there with you all night long. It has things to do and places to go and people to meet. And it does. And if you open up that line to it and understand that you're doing all this, that you really are an entity, and this is just a car you're in, your life will go much better for you. And because what's the point of living if you're just back? You know,
I had to bring up this thought. Honey, don't tell Trump death is a transitioning, because then he'll never die. I thought that was funny. There's a lot of funny comments, which I keep missing because there's so many comments.
We don't die. You know, it's interesting.
When people talk about genocide and war and pandemics and earthquakes and floods and fires, and everyone's all upset because there's so much death. It's like death is what we get so upset about when this stuff
that's
happens.
The control factor telling you this is a horrible thing. And it is just people leaving their bodies that, you know, it doesn't matter how you end here, you're going to. And the fact is, when you're born, you're going to meet that moment where you leave here. And it doesn't, you don't know how many days you've got until that happens. You don't know how it's going to happen. You weren't promised a rose garden here at all. Okay. You didn't come here to have a cushy, soft, protected existence here. You came here to get dirty. You came here to get wet. You came here to get pain. You came here to get cut and to get diseases and all this other stuff while you're trying to educate yourself and live and become more than you are. It's the hardest classroom you can be in this place. And if you don't teach that to your children, they grow up thinking that they're owed everything. They refuse to believe in anything. And then they become little tiny monsters walking around trying to figure out what it is by causing pain and suffering to others while they're walking around scot-free. No.
We need to teach people exactly what death is, because actually it is something that's pretty much inevitable.
Right.
And it's not a horrible thing. It's not a tragedy. It's just a life event. And actually, it's tremendously healing, because you get a new body. You get to review all the things that you did in your life. And in fact, we get this opportunity every single day, because sleep is often been called the little death. And some people have horrible insomnia because I think it's related to the fear of death, and they have trouble falling asleep, because in a way, it's like a near-death experience in a minor way. There's no trauma involved, but you're leaving your body. You're going to the other side, just like you would when you pass on.
Yeah.
So this is a
Preston,
wonderful experience for you.
I saw you on, I haven't finished watching it, but on Jeff Reynolds' podcast, the Jeff Mara podcast, talking about out-of-body experience. Great show, fabulous show. I loved it. I've got to finish it. But we've had that similar conversations on ATP Media as well, but I can listen to it 100 times and then. But when I was on Jeff's show a couple of years ago, we were speaking about the same thing, and I said, we die every night. And that's the, you know how he takes a bit of your conversation and puts it up as the title? We die every night. That was his sensation. We die. But you know, as you say, sleep is a little death. Yeah. I mean, we're doing it every single night.
And how much we love going to bed. You know, everyone, like when you're a little kid, you know, oh, I don't want to go to bed. But then you know you're an adult when you're like, I can't wait to go to bed. That's sort of the marker there. That you're mature.
I've seen kids fall asleep standing up because they refuse to take a nap. You know, it's like
right, yeah.
It's amazing. Well, they're new here, and they want to see everything and experience it all at once at the same time. And the joy of it is so immense that they just can't stop. You know, it's like, I'm not going to go to sleep. I'm going to waste my time doing that because I want to experience all this stuff. And then they go, you know, and then you get age and you get wiser, and then you realize I really do need to sleep, you know, and take a nap, you know, go to bed, get a good night's sleep, restore the body, because the body ages and it needs that.
But what's really interesting about sleep is you don't lose consciousness. And if you get really good at OBEs and meditating, maintaining awareness, you don't lose that awareness. Dolly can do that. She can basically lie down and go to sleep, and she's out of her body. I'm not quite, I've done it a few times where I basically stayed awake from lying down to waking up. I did not lose consciousness. And it is the coolest experience. It's like,
It's cool.
oh my God.
I want to discuss this, but we're running out of time. It goes so quickly with you guys. We're going to continue the discussion on the light gate tomorrow.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I remember I had Penny Kelly on the show years ago, and she said, I basically didn't sleep for 3 years. And I said, what? And that's exactly what she was talking about. She had this coherence and consciousness when she fell asleep. She had the same consciousness as when she was awake, so that it never felt like that blackout, that forget. She didn't have, and I said, well, what did you do? And she said, I didn't know what to do. So I flew up and sat on the roof. Like she's in her astral body. So she had this like you guys do, this physical awareness while she's in her astral form and out of her body, but that same physical consciousness. And so she didn't know she could go to other dimensions, that she could do whatever. So she just sat on the roof and she was looking up at the stars.
Yeah. You eventually moved away from that. I started that as a small child.
And a craft came, a light craft came and said, hey, you want to go for a ride? And so she went off and played with some ETs. But she doesn't talk about that so much these days. She gets more political. But yeah, so she said she didn't sleep for 3 years. And then obviously after 3 years, that sort of turned off. Do you want that to stay on, or do you want that, like, if you develop that ability to have that stream of consciousness from awaking, sleeping, so it's the same awareness, or is it?
Stay on.
Mm-hmm. What?
It should stay on. You know, there's a series of books by Tom Brown, who learned from an Apache scout stalking wolf. Mm-hmm. He tried over and over again to sneak up on that man when he was sleeping. Get real close, the guy would just sit up and turn and look at him and smile, because he was awake. He taught Tom Brown how to do all these amazing things. I recommend his books. Tom Brown, look him up, The Tracker. So amazing. It's a real wake-up call for me. Yeah, we can do that. You don't have to lose consciousness, because you're really not losing consciousness anyway. And we know this from sleep studies. They put those little...
Yeah, your brain's gone. Yeah.
You're still fully conscious.
Yeah, your brain actually, okay, so you know you got a pineal gland, and it transmits and it receives signal, okay? And that's important because your consciousness is signaling to your brain all the time. And once you open up that conduit, you know, I'm going to call it a conduit. It's just you're attaching to yourself. And once you do that, you're aware 100% of the time. Not to do that makes you confused, perplexed, lackadaisical. You start wandering around going, what am I doing? You know, and that's no good place to be. And once you reach that consciousness level, you don't want to give it up. Living with me, Preston, has realized that I am totally 100% on all the time. And I know everything all at once, every day. I can speak to other entities. They speak to me. I know things. We just had some like weird people out. I can work with you on anything at any time, you know, for any reason whatsoever. When I'm doing my daily life, like we had to make plane reservations to go to Canada. We're going on the 31st. And when they were talking about it, I was just talking about it. And before we got to the point where they said, make the reservations, I was already doing it. The person goes, what are you doing? I said, I know what days it is. And he goes, no, we don't know what days it is. And I said, yeah, I know what day it is. So it's from March 31st to April 3rd. Okay, but they had only decided to do one day, and it was going to be, they were talking about March 31st to April 2nd, but I made the reservations to the 3rd. And then the more they talked with us, the more they realized we needed the extra day. So it all came back down to the 3rd. And well, I already made the reservations, so just send it to him. And he did, you know, with a boom, boom. This was in a 5-10 minute time frame that I did this. And that's because I'm aware of what's happening. I can hear them thinking and talking as well as us. I can connect to any conversation that I'm in with anybody from any distance, anywhere at any time. And so I already know what you're going to decide to do, and this is what we're going to do, and I do it. And it freaks people out when I do it. They don't get it. I'll be in a car with, I'll go back to, we were going to Guy, and the guy was driving us, the driver. I won't tell you anything we talked about, but one thing happened. We're in the car, and all of a sudden I said, listen, where do you live around here? Because I knew it was the next exit. And he goes, oh, yeah, that exit, that's where I live. Yeah. And he looked at me in the mirror and went, you knew that, didn't you? And I was like, yes, I did. Oh
Dolly knows. Dolly, I'm just going to ask you, when you get passionate and you beat the table because you're passionate, it's hitting your mic and we're getting this bouncing off your mic. That's okay. Lots of people do that. I'm going to do a station ID break. So here we go. Here's a station ID break.
You're listening to ATP Media, Awakening and Expanding Consciousness with Karen Swain on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM, syndicated radio, hitting about 120 countries and streaming on 8 platforms.
And we're chatting with the wonderful Dolly Safran and Preston Dennett today. Yay! 2 of my favorite people, all about consciousness. And again, my favorite topic, and merging our dogmatic limiting beliefs, conditioned beliefs, merging or expanding them into the idea of who we are as conscious beings and what's possible when we understand that, and we understand how to have sovereignty over our consciousness or have that awareness. And we've got a big, we've got Preston and Dolly's audience live because we're streaming on Preston's YouTube channel too. Our physics really, our psychics really telepathic. I almost married a fellow Canadian, Denmark. Anyway, they're all chatting amongst themselves. Yeah. Are psychics really telepathic? Great question. Who wants to answer that?
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, the real answer is we all are. And you can see this in society when there's like mob behavior, or there's a thing in science called mirror neurons.
Mirror neurons.
Mm-hmm. See somebody getting hurt, you can feel that pain. It's sort of a scientific way of explaining telepathy. Or when there's a big tragedy like the Challenger disaster, everyone wept. We all felt that. That was a feeling that just swept through society. Whenever there's a worldwide event.
Princess Diana dying was when I really saw that, or Lady Diana. Exactly. I couldn't believe how the world was crying. Like Mother Teresa died just before her, just up, and not as many people cried as they did over her. And that amazed me how the world wept. And I didn't cry initially because I'm like, we didn't know her personally. Why is everyone so upset? 2 days or 24 hours later, I was weeping like with the rest of them.
Very good example.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we can learn a lot from animals as well. Our dog Duchess, very psychic. It's amazing to see when we are planning to go outside, you can very quietly put on your shoes, not make a sound. She will come running. She knows. Yeah. It's amazing how aware animals can be. They did a study with this.
There you go. Yeah, that study. Go on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a study where they would have the animal's owner, or, I don't like that term, but we'll call it that.
Guardian.
Far from the house. Good one, guardian. And would be coming home. The animal knew before they were coming around the corner, before they could hear the engine of the car. This wasn't a predicted thing, where they come home at the same time. The animals would go running to the door because they knew. They had an awareness. They had that conscious ability. We have that conscious ability too. We can learn this because animals are doing it. We see this with babies. Cats are looking at spirits all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Kara says here, my son refuses to look at certain things. When he does, he sees certain things. He says he can physically feel pain. I think you're talking about other people's pain. He physically feels other people's pain.
Yeah.
This is
I can't watch people boxing on TV. It's too much for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Psychic means that all your senses are at play. You have psychic senses that mirror and are exactly the same as your physical senses. We have sight, we have sound, we have touch, we have taste, and we have, hearing. Okay. And psychic means when you're OBE, you have all of those senses in play. they operate. It's the same thing. And so when somebody's in pain and you're in that energy field with them, it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks. You're going to feel it. When I was a nurse, that was one of the reasons I was so good at triage, because I could feel where you hurt without you telling me. Okay.
Yeah.
And I would zero you for that and start doing my triage toward looking at what that situation was. I was very fast at it too. You can turn the volume up and down on that. In other words, if I'm feeling intense pain from somebody else, I will shield. It's not really a shield. I just turn the volume down on it. You know, I look at you and I go, okay, I'm with you. Don't think I'm not. And I turn the volume down so I can deal with you. It becomes more important to heal them at that point. I have every message in the world that you're in trouble right now. And yes, we're going to deal with that. Yeah. And we all have that ability. And it's amazing how much of that ability we're actually walking around with. It's synonymous. It's part of the equipment, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is another what's the word I'm looking for? I'm falling over my words today. Misnomer, thank you, Dolly, that we need to clear up as we evolve into intelligent conscious beings, because the understanding has been, oh, you're psychic, you're special, you're different, you're a starseed, you're an empath. You know, we give labels to everyone. Right. And just like you guys are saying, everybody is. I've been saying this ad nauseum on my show over and over again. Everybody is. It's said in the Seth books when I read them in my early 20s. Yeah. You're all communicating telepathically on Earth. You couldn't drive on your roads if you were not. It's just that we're all doing it all the time. We're just not aware that we're doing it. And but I remember, I think I was about 26 when I read that, driving and like being aware that I knew what people were going to do, like being aware of what I knew, being aware of stuff that I was aware of that I didn't know I was aware of, coming back to that awareness. Yeah, bringing that awareness into your conscious understanding instead of it being an unconscious awareness. But we're all doing it all the time. It's just bring your awareness.
The trick is listening. You know, I was once in an intersection. I was in the back seat. My brother was driving, and my sister-in-law, who was in chat, Christine, was sitting in the front driver's seat, and we were next to this giant truck. And the light turns green, and Christy turns to Mark and says, "Beware of red light runners." And he's like, "What?" And doesn't go through the green light when whoosh, this car comes barreling through. I started laughing hysterically because I love it when this stuff happens. It was so cool. I'm like, "Christy, oh my God, how did you know?" And she's like,
"Yeah, exactly. She was listening. Yeah, exactly.
Which you do really well, Karen, you know, because you're very intuitively connected.
Dolly, I tell you what, with your audience, you've got such a great audience. It's a multitaskers. Like I'm listening to you, I'm listening to Dolly, I'm reading the comments. it's like it's a real multitasking exercise, isn't it? Being on this show.
Oh gosh,
awareness.
No. When you see me look down, it's because I can't see it on the monitor. It's too bright for my eyesight. But I've got my phone on dark, so I look down and I'm reading the comments on my phone.
Oh, you can read them on your phone. Yeah. But yeah, being on radio was something. I remember when I first went on radio, God, how old was I? I think I was 50, maybe late 40s. And I first went on community radio where you didn't have a producer. So you have to answer the phone, do the panel, put on ads, put on music, adjust the volume, have a live guest in front of you. And as a psychic, talk to my spirit guides all at the same time. And I thought, there's no way I can do this. But it's like we are amazing. Yes. And being on this StreamYard and doing this in our, in our third act, as we all are now, it keeps your mind, agile. It keeps your mind busy. It keeps your mind agile to be able to multitask like this. It doesn't make you mentally lazy, and it keeps your awareness too. Because we're running out of time. Anything you guys want to get in before we finish this show? We'll continue the conversation tomorrow on the Light Gate.
Absolutely. I want everybody to do an experiment tonight. Okay. I want you to
great.
What we're talking about here. Okay. And before you come on with us tomorrow, I want you to feel this one out for yourselves. I want you to go meditate tonight. I want you to think about what it means to be aware and who you really are, and make contact with yourself. And to do that, you have to let your physical mind go silent during meditation and then listen for yourself to talk to you. Have that voice. You know, they describe it as the still small voice. That's you. And make contact with yourself, and let's have a conversation about conscious conversation. And that's what you're employing when you do that. So that's your homework for tonight, y'all. And we'll talk about it tomorrow. How's that?
Well, I love that, Dolly, because, you know, I think what a lot of people are doing is they watch podcast shows. It engages our interest. It engages our curious mind, and it's beautiful to be curious. What was that quote at the beginning, Preston? Stay curious and love deeply. Love that. Yeah, stay curious and love deeply. Yeah. But, you know, engaging the curious mind doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to implement what you know to be your truth into your life as your truth. So a lot of people know a lot of knowledge. They listen to you guys. They've read all the books, but they don't implement the awareness into their life. So giving people exercises like that, meditate. I
want you to be me. I want you to be you, you know?
Yeah.
People say this to me. How did they choose you? You know, you must be very special. No, I'm not. I'm just like you. I just was more in tune with doing what I needed to do to try to catch up to them. And I was on a mission that I was going to learn how to do this, and I did. It came naturally to me. It can come naturally to you. You just have to give up all the around you that's telling you no. Say yes to yourself. You can do this.
Exactly.
And you do it for you, not me, not Preston or anybody else. But the reason I give you this assignment is I want to hear your journey. I want to hear you're impacted about it. Come in the chat and go, that's why. You know, I want to hear all that stuff. It's marvelous to me. I don't like sitting here chatting to myself. I'm giving you information that I hope you employ, that you use to help yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
We have to believe in ourselves. We have to love ourselves. We have to forgive ourselves. You know, we have to really embrace ourselves.
Right.
Absolutely. It's all about self, while at the same time, all about everyone else. That's how connected we are. Because the idea of individuality is very, you know, prominent here in the third dimension, but it's a bit misunderstood. We're not alone at all.
Never alone. Never alone.
That's right.
I just want to say hi to Leah. She says always an awesome show like no other. She's loving it. Honored to learn. Thank you, Leah. And then what does Dr. Neil say here? I've been putting 3 hours relaxing Buddhist teachings on my YouTube to go to bed. Works great. Thanks for that. Some solfeggio frequencies. What do you think of the solfeggio frequencies? Do you think that's the go? Or?
The solfeggio. And that's how you say it, solfeggio. And nice. Solfeggio. And it's a sequence that occurs during brain frequency, and music is very largely associated with that. We created music because we had to let what was in our brains come out, and it came out as music. Music is a language. We speak this language. Music is the first part of light language. Okay. Just so you know. And you're hearing tonal qualities, you're hearing frequencies and stuff like that, because we all think in those. And so, yeah, the solfeggio is the first and only true scale. It's the scale of light, how light operates. So, yeah, it's very important to understand what that is. So,
yeah. You know, I think that you've probably spoken a lot about the hybrid program. Definitely, Preston, you've researched that with different people, haven't you? I had this beautiful woman on the show recently called Tanis. What's your last name? Me and names. Cole. Anyway, and she's a hybrid. We were talking about the hybrid program. She was talking about meeting her hybrid children. And so I asked her this question, you know, why do you think they have the hybrid program? And she said something that I hadn't considered before, because I've had this conversation a lot. She said, if we're to meet ET physically, they have to be more physically like us because of the bacteria and the microbiome and the energy frequency and everything. So if we splice the physical DNA with their DNA, it's more possible for them to be physically on the planet. I thought,
flip that around. Flip it a little bit. I'm hybrid. I'm a known hybrid. Okay.
Yeah.
So that I can exist with them because I had to be with them to learn from them. It's not because of them, their genome not being able to handle me. It's my genome being able to handle them.
Yeah, both ways. It goes both ways. As I was saying that I discovered I was a hybrid too. in order
don't
to hold
lose
the
humanity.
psychic abilities that I hold. And it might have started before, but I know that my mother was different. She looked different. She looked the same, but she looked different to her family. She was a completely different. And
accused
so
of related to anybody. I freaked out.
And Preston, you talk about your family a lot. Do you think your whole family, their DNA was tweaked in order for you guys to, well, you specifically, to do what you do now and have the experiences you have?
Here's our
There's
second
your
copy.
friend. Hello. The dog. For people listening on radio, the dogs.
The whole UFO thing is in my family. My older brother and my younger sister both have had very close encounters. I probably had the most of all of us. I never knew about my parents, but I suspect, yes. And in a way, we're all kind of hybrids, if you want to look at it that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But we don't understand genetics. And I really like how Dolly talks about this, that we have all the genetics of all life in our own. The template of all life is within us. So if we could even begin to understand genetics, we would definitely have a great leap forward in understanding all of this.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I think that eventually everyone's DNA will come online to do what, great psychics and seers and telepathic and OBEs, conscious OBEs do now. It's just that some came before the others, right? Some came to show and to teach this is what's possible, and then the others will sort of catch up, right?
Yeah, well, we live in a society that rules us. Okay. And we go through periods from our generations where we're under a thumb, and ET's like, okay, we need to get some people to come on board and help drag them out of this stinking thinking. And they do that.
I love that stinking
thinking. Like Buddha, and Krishna, and Shiva, and Jesus Christ, and everything, and Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, other people, are teachers, and they've helped us enlighten us, and they're very close to that. They're gifted so that they could. So,
Well, again, I'm going to go back to the Thyroid prophecy. 3 minutes to go. Because this is what they said about Jesus. They said there were two Jesus. They said that the virgin birth Jesus, the one that was born to Mary, DNA was tweaked so that he could be a seer and a teacher. But then the one that was crucified on the cross, his whole physical form was manufactured by these ETs, and he had a much more extreme, what's the word I'm looking for, DNA complex, so that he could perform the miracles that were performed. So that's over 2,000 years ago, again, coming to show what's possible for everybody. This is like where we're going. I feel like Jesus's teachings were for our time now, even though he was on the planet 2,000 years ago, telling us we could do all that he has done, like levitate, water into wine, raise the dead, all that sort of stuff. As I say to the ETs, that's an everyday occurrence. It's just science and physics. It's not the, holy God. It's just physics. And we're just starting to catch up 2,000 years later. We're just starting to catch up now. What do you reckon?
I'm so glad we have 2 hours tomorrow. Maybe we can do a whole Q&A, because I see all kinds of questions stacked up in the chat.
I know.
Because we're going to need the 2 hours to really cover this. But we're
going to get back into it tomorrow on the Light Gate. Lots to talk about. And I just want to reiterate, when we talk about spirit and divine and Jesus and Buddha and Krishna and ET, we're talking about the same phenomena. It's all the same thing. It's all consciousness. It's not in separate camps. It's just all expansion of consciousness.
We're trying to help one another, and we do it through self-actualization, self-realization, self-knowledge. We learn, we teach ourselves, and we become wise.
If people knew their own power of their own thoughts, they would certainly think more carefully. Because on the other side, thoughts are things you can create with your thoughts. And essentially, we're doing the same thing here.
Right.
We are often our own worst enemy, and we're also our own best friend. It's up to us to really push ourselves forward to become enlightened, like these folks, Buddha and Jesus. They said we could do all these things they're doing.
Right.
We can.
We can. Yeah.
Supposedly Jesus taught his apostles what he knew how to do, and they just demonstrated it as well. So things like that. He was teaching the whole time. So yeah.
Oh, guys, it's always such a joy and such a pleasure to be with you two. I feel like you're my family.
We're family. That's great.
Part of the network family and soul family. Yeah, I just love what you are doing in the world. I really do. And Dolly was telling me secretly yesterday that Preston, when he's not eating or patting the dog or going shopping or shoveling snow, he's at his computer working. He's so dedicated, churning out the books and churning out the podcasts, and then the Lightgate putting different experiences and scientists and ET researchers on the Lightgate with Dolly. Yeah, you're amazing, you two. And thanks so much. And let's continue this tomorrow. Let's continue. So everyone who has been listening, please do what Dolly has asked you to do, with your consciousness and meditation. Be aware of what you're aware of. Notice what you notice. This is something that I learned through a healing technique. Notice what you notice. Notice where your attention goes, either when you're thinking or when you're looking physically. Where do you place your, notice what you notice. Notice what you notice. Bring your awareness in and tell us what you learned tomorrow on the Lightgate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to remind people the times? Because I think we're earlier on ATP. You're a bit later.
Yeah, we're 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday nights. That's 5 o'clock on the Pacific Coast and 7 o'clock Mountain Time. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
And I think it's probably about midday down under, which is a nice decent hour I can sleep in. Big love to you all. Thanks for all your amazing comments. Sorry I didn't get to all of them. It was incredible. Tomorrow, great. See you tomorrow. Thanks for the live show. Thanks. Preston's more vigilant at the comments than I am. I might get caught up in the conversation. But Q&A. Bring your questions tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Lightgate. Big love to all of you. Mwah!
Thank you, guys.
Ciao.